Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Whales of Wall Street. Today I've got an energy gem for you guys. Now this is one called POWR Ledger, which is POWR on the exchanges. Currently available on Binance and a couple of others. Please do check CoinMarketCap out for all the latest information on where you can buy these cryptos. But for now, let's go straight into this. This is a really cool one that I'm really interested in right now. So me personally, I haven't purchased any of this yet, but I am going to do so probably at the end of this month. Hopefully the price continues to be stable for at least a couple more weeks, but we'll have to see. So POWR Ledger. Now, what's really interesting about POWR Ledger, so this is actually based on kind of like the infrastructure at the moment about clean energy, kind of carbon reductions, and the traceability factor of that as well, in terms of trying to improve pricing, make it fairer for everyone, and stop the monopolization of the existing network infrastructure of grid power. So what these guys are doing is basically utilizing blockchain technology to help with that kind of thing, in terms of smart contracts, and as well as actually, this is where the decentralized really cool stuff comes into play, of potentially allowing people independently to make their own money off renewable sources, as well as national grid elements as well. So we'll dive into this in a bit more detail, but please do check out their website. It's really cool and funky, very informative, but yeah, this is all about basically giving everyone the opportunity to take some power back, excuse the pun, into their own hands, share the wealth of energy, renewable energies, as more and more people become more educated about and have more ability and more freedom to put these kind of infrastructures in place on their homes. So just to put this into perspective, so you're going to see, if in this kind of sector and across crypto, you're going to see sort of the words like DER a lot, which basically stands for distributed energy resources. So now you know that. If I do throw that word out there willy-nilly in this video, then hopefully you guys can understand what it is. But in general, over the next sort of 8 to 10 years, this is kind of like part of that Agenda 30 discussion that we've had many times before, the World Economic Forum, about sustainability, reducing carbon emissions, and hopefully creating a net zero aspect in the near future. And this kind of project, POWR Ledger, based in Australia, is looking to try and achieve that. So the way they're doing this, as I've mentioned with blockchain, is allowing the data, allowing the infrastructure of what we're doing in terms of power consumption, in terms of the grid and everything, operating on blockchain technology, for people to share peer-to-peer, so P2P, as I'm sure you've seen those various wordings out there more and more as time goes by in the crypto space. So there's a couple of stats here that I've got for you guys that I've picked out relatively recently. So there's 3.5 billion internet connected distributed energy resources, which is absolutely staggering, and that's what they're trying to achieve by 2030. Sorry, that's not what they've got now, but that's what they're trying to achieve by then, and that's what they believe will be achieved by then, not just by POWR Ledger but across the world, in terms of where we will be with internet connected energy sources. So this is quite a substantial amount. And also, between now and then, customers collectively worldwide will spend over $830 billion on DERs. And get this one, in terms of electric vehicles, this is a really important point to mention. We know about Tesla, we know about their crypto situations, but we know about electric vehicles is going to keep rising. The demand is going to keep rising as technology improves, the costs of batteries, etc. improve. $7 trillion are going to be spent by people globally on electric vehicles. So that in itself is a staggering amount of money, both that and the 830 billion on DERs. So not only are you spending money on the infrastructure, things like solar panels, PV systems on roofs, wind power, and other renewable sourced power, we're also going to be spending money on products that utilize this technology and have a similar benefit, i.e. electric vehicles as an example. So existing system issues, you've got things like the prices always fluctuating or not being consistent with the base on supply and demand. What you do find is like a kind of like a controllable supply versus a fixed demand. So what you tend to see is most households, yes, there is a bit of variability, but a lot of the demand is very much the same. But the controllable supply means that the power infrastructures at the moment, the national grids and all the companies out there, have massive ability to dictate these prices. And it's quite amazing really, because you see all these different companies like maybe Empower, ADF, etc. They don't own this power. It's off the national grid, they rent it. There's obviously commission charges and other charges on top of that that get passed on to the customer. And we're all fed up with it, of course. We're all fed up with bills and overpriced things, and particularly, and no, not bringing anyone in particular into the equation, but there's a lot of interesting news out there at the moment, of course, in the winter months especially, where senior people have worked their lives really hard and are getting stung by horrendous bills in both gas and electric, and this has to stop. This moment of decentralization, the use of crypto, the use of blockchain technology, smart contracts, trust, via know your customer, KYC, and all these fantastic things that decentralized space brings, gives people power. So supply from the renewables becomes essentially variable, and the demand becomes flexible, almost a pretty much a straight swap. So there's some people that some want backup power, some want lower bills, and a remote access control element via the phones, via the ability to pick and choose when they need the energy, and with the infrastructure in place of AI and IoT moving forwards, this is all going to be kind of automated on the system anyway through smart cities and things like that. So there's some really interesting things coming out of Power Ledger and other schemes like this as well. And the fact that they're trying to adopt all the various sort of programs around in the world, zero carbon certification being one of them, one of the great popular schemes across the world, renewable energy, smart energy councils, as we develop this sustainable goal for 2030 across the world. Virtual power plants, this is the fantastic opportunity that Power Ledger is providing to some trial customers in Australia, where people are utilizing the solar panels on their roof. The excess power they're able to sell to their neighbors. Now, not gigantic amounts at this stage, we're talking about maybe $5-10 a month, but imagine having surplus energy and you're trying to save up for things or trying to reduce your bills, but being able to help others out before they have to spend money on national grid services and things like this, to be able to get it off your neighbors and for them to make some money, for you to have less to pay. Because a lot of people, semi-retired or this, that and the other, or in general, people out there don't always use all of the things of power, but we still pay these ridiculous prices and things like this. So it's really opening up, like I said, the fairness and opportunity for P2P and things like this to everyone and anyone. And I think it's a fantastic thing. I love the power to the people mentality, and these technologies and opportunities and companies are bringing that opportunity to us, So we're kind of like really building towards that kind of customer centric future, by 2030, as I mentioned, with the agenda programs and sustainability programs. And I just think that this is an absolutely fantastic. There are a couple of other companies like EWT, which I'll do a video on, which I'm really excited about as well. So there's a couple of projects within this space. As I've mentioned, you can get Power Ledger on various platforms exchange wise, Binance being probably the top option there. Now this is quite cool. So at the moment you can trade it with BTC and ETH, but the reason I'm pulling this topic out right now is because they're absolutely bullish news for Power Ledger in recent days. 18 hours ago actually. I was that quick, look at that. So they are now adopting the Solana blockchain. That is incredible. So not only are they reducing the fees in terms of the gas fees of the token to help with the tokenomics of the blockchain and the network that they've got in particular, but this is going to again push that factor of trying to get to net carbon zero in terms of emissions and power. I think that's a fantastic move for them. Ethereum, obviously, more and more projects are leaving Ethereum, as historic as Ethereum has been. Until the 2.0 comes out and we see what that actually really looks like in terms of the London fork and everything, there's other fantastic opportunities out there for projects like this. For example, Solana. So this is incredible news. It hasn't really affected the price just yet. I did wonder maybe perhaps in this area was when some inside information perhaps came in, but we're not looking at gigantic numbers here. At the moment, we're sort of sitting on the 19 cents mark. I'm not going to do any predictions here, but you can see where the movements have been before, especially with previous launches and things like that. But more recent times, how high it can get to. So we've obviously got to do a lot of tracing forwards to get to that point. In terms of the RSI, it's relatively medium in my opinion. For me, yes, obviously I haven't got this yet, and again, this isn't financial advice, this is me personally talking about myself here. I always do tend to look at that kind of like 35 to 40 mark before I pull in, but I wouldn't be angry getting in personally for me at this point, just to get a bit of an accumulation going. But we'll see how that develops. But as for the project, it's incredible, guys. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Please do get through their website. Some really cool information and projects going on more and more with these guys. And yeah, all I will say with this, I'd always try and invest in fundamental things, but also projects that have a real meaning in the real world. And there's nothing such a bigger topic at the moment other than green finance, green organizations, the way we're doing renewable energies, recycling, everything about green. And these guys are pushing that narrative. They're pushing it with fantastic projects. And like I mentioned, with the whole messaging side, when I mean messaging, I'm talking about coding and machine to machine, algorithms and communication. When we are looking at things like more and more smart home products and IoT, which I do in the real world, for work and personally, that's what we delve into. And having that kind of machine to machine mentality where everything's working collectively, everything's automated to the point where it's trying to reduce the cost that you're spending on all these different things, and Power Ledger is basically adding to that with the infrastructure of energy that you have the ability to control and power and sell on if you want to help others out, to help yourselves out, save some money up. It's fully decentralizing it. So like I said, I'm absolutely fantastically excited about this. There's so much more that I could talk about with this project and the actual intricate details, and I might pull out another video in the near future on this, but all I will say is read their white paper, read the information. There's loads of cool stuff about digital passports and things like this, about as I mentioned earlier, about the know your customer element. So in terms of proof of authority, proof of identity and things like this, when you're changing suppliers, there's no need to go through full registration because they've got the majority of your details, but then there's variable details that you need to input. There's so much cool stuff, guys, and I think that's the really key thing. But yeah, I'll do another video on this very soon, and EWT as well, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, just particularly around that Solana information, but also just generally how cool this green project is. So if you found this interesting, please do let us know in the comments. If you're interested in any other energy tokens that we haven't covered or want to have covered, or any other tokens in general, please do let us know in the comments, and we will do our best to get around to mentioning them and getting some information out about those as and when you ask. Other than that, please do like and subscribe. The channel really helps us out, and make sure you press the awesome bell next to the subscribe button so you get notified when we do our awesome videos and they get released and you can watch them immediately. So yeah, like I said, hope you've enjoyed that. That just leaves me, guys, to say thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you and Power Ledger and yourselves and myself on the moon. Take care.